up? What up? Man, I try to open up these shows, these videos with something lighthearted, something that's not sad or anything, because a lot of my videos are just that sad. Try to open up with some lighthearted conversation before I get into the meat and potatoes of why I'm actually here doing a video. Man, the world sucks. Any of y'all gamers? Are any of you gamers? Bro, we are being priced out of gaming. Like, gaming has become a luxury hobby. And then some of these practices, bro. Did y'all see the new Nintendo Direct? The live video that Nintendo put up recently? Bro, these new practices, oh my God. The new Pokemon game hasn't even been released yet. Hasn't even been released. But they announced that they have DLC coming to the game upon its release. Before the game even comes out. Like, how is that even legal? That has to be illegal. I don't know how it's illegal, but that has to be illegal. Bro, it's crazy. It has to be cut content. Stuff that was supposed to be in the game, but they took out. And Nintendo just said, screw it. They're already paying $70-$80 for the game. So we'll just cut that out. And we'll charge $30 for it. So we'll make it a $100 game or $110 game. I mean, it's Pokemon. They'll buy it. You know what I'm saying? And my dumb behind, I got kids. So that's $300 for me off the bat. Myself and my two daughters. Man, F Nintendo. It's too early in the video, so I can't be cussing like that. Man, but screw Nintendo. That is a trash practice. That is low down. God, dog. And then they still got that lawsuit going with Pal World. Personally, I never even played Pal World. But how can Nintendo or any gaming company, how can you put a patent on summoning sub characters? That is something that's been in games since God knows when. Dungeons and Dragons, Final Fantasy, Digimon. I can go, bro, it is a plethora of games that summons sub characters. How can you put a patent on summoning? What, Pokemon and Nintendo, they gonna go back in time and they gonna sue Dungeons and Dragons? I tell you what, boy, if Nintendo go try to sue Final Fantasy for summoning, boy, that's gonna be the death of Pokemon. I guarantee it. Boy, the Final Fantasy fans is not gonna stand for that at all. That's gonna be the death of Nintendo. That's gonna be the death of Pokemon. Man. Bro, gamers are having a bad life right now, bro, because a lot of these companies, how you got a more scummy practice than EA, than Electronic Arts? Bro, the gaming community hates Electronic Arts with a never dying passion. We hate Electronic Arts. We are starting to love Electronic Arts compared to Nintendo at this point. That is scary. That is something scary to think about. Oh, man, let me get these giggles out real quick, man. Like I said, just something lighthearted. That was something that was on my mind. I'm starting to hate Nintendo, but my daughters love Pokemon. I'm still in the process of trying to teach them to think with your wallet. They don't have jobs. They're not at the age to have jobs. So they just hold their hand out. Dad, give me money. I want this. I want that. So it kind of just becomes, gotta bite the bullet. If my daughters want Pokemon, yeah, kind of gotta bite that bullet. Well, let's get on to it. Got this very sad story here. We're going to jump right on in. Holla at your boy.
Bankai. 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 Bankai.
I just been hustling my hoes. I just been dripping my hoes. Just a whole nother level shot. I got these hoes on their toes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am the Prince of Petty. And I got to tell you all about something that's been bothering me in the news. This case in New Orleans, it's completely jacked up. A 12-year-old boy by the name of Bryan Vasquez goes missing. Nearly 2 weeks pass. Turns out his body ends up being found in a lagoon or pond, if you will. His mother, Hilda Vasquez, is now being charged with second-degree cruelty to juveniles and negligent homicide. Look, I don't say this lightly, but what kind of world are we living in where a kid's life ends like this and people just shrug? The records say she left him alone. ... Again. Despite knowing the risks, like so many other mothers that I've talked about. Think about the timeline. 12 days. The community just looking, neighbors praying, families hoping for a miracle on 24th Street. And then nothing. Water, a lagoon, alligators. Just general heartbreak. We all know children need attention. We all know children need love. We all know children need protection. We all believe parents should care. All these things are things we should all cohesively agree on, right? But what happens when those responsibilities get dropped repeatedly, incessantly, persistently, ad nauseum? Where do we draw the line between tragedy and avoidable disaster? That's what we're going to dig into today. What happened? What the laws say? What people saw and didn't see? And what we should learn so no child has to go through this again. Personally, it probably won't change a damn thing in all honesty. Just me talking. But we can all hope. I have some news videos here. I'm going to play these. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back. Let's get it.
To stay away from her children after police say her 12-year-old son left home and died. Gabby Killett reports it's not the first time she's been banned from seeing her kids.
Hilda Vasquez wept in court as she agreed to comply with protective orders that bar her from interacting with her 3 living children until the criminal case against her ends. 12-year-old Bryan Vasquez died due to blunt force trauma and drowning from an alligator attack after the nonverbal boy ran away from home last month. Police arrested Vasquez Sunday.
That's just a policeman going to a judge and saying, sign this so I can arrest her. There's a minimal amount of things that we think we have a reason to do that. She hasn't had a preliminary hearing, hasn't been brought before a grand jury, so we're very early in the process.
The court issued a similar protective order against Vasquez in 2014 during another case involving Bryan, for which Vasquez was convicted of cruelty to a juvenile. That case originated when Bryan was 3 months old. He was found with a skull fracture, a collapsed lung, retinal hemorrhages, and brain swelling. The Department of Children and Family Services eventually allowed Vasquez supervised visits with Bryan, and after parental classes, she regained custody of him. Police referenced the past case in an affidavit for Vasquez's arrest in connection to Bryan's death.
What it means is the police feel that someone died as a result of someone else's gross negligence.
During the search for Bryan in August, his mother maintained he was autistic. However, court records from a 2022 Department of Children and Family Services report say Bryan was born a healthy baby, but suffered a traumatic brain injury in his childhood, and that his mother had left his siblings and him without supervision. Fox 8 legal analyst Joe Respani says charging his mother in connection with Bryan's death required a high bar of negligence.
It's to a higher level of negligence or a standard that's well below what should be done, in this case, by a mother to her child.
Magistrate Commissioner Jonathan Friedman set a hearing for Monday to determine whether Vasquez will be held without bond.
District attorneys should only ask for no bond in very particular situations, which may not apply here. And that is that this person is such a danger to other people or is such a flight risk that they need to be held without bond.
Vasquez also has a hearing set for Friday to determine which attorney will represent her throughout her criminal case.
And WDSU News at 6 starts with some breaking news.
Yeah, the mother of Bryan Vasquez, the boy who was found dead in a lagoon in New Orleans East, has made her first appearance in court today. A judge listed out Hilda Vasquez's charges related to the death of her son as efforts surfaced to keep her separated from her other children back at home. We have team coverage for you tonight surrounding the investigation and what happened in court tonight.
WDSU's Jasmine Franklin joins us live with the very latest updates from court and when Hilda Vasquez is now set to make another appearance. Jasmine.
Tonight, Hilda Vasquez was emotional as she appeared in court for the first time since her arrest. She faces 2 charges related to her son's death. Inside the courtroom, Hilda stood before the judge alongside a translator as she does not speak English. Hilda began crying as the judge listed her negligent homicide and second-degree cruelty to a juvenile charges. NOPD Detective Mario Bravo also inside the courtroom. Now, he is the lead detective on this case and also the one who issued a search warrant for Hilda's phone. Hilda told the judge she plans on hiring her own attorney instead of a court-ordered public defender. The judge requested protective orders for all of her other children. She is ordered to have no contact with her 3 children while she is in custody. Hilda, at this point, began crying again as the judge announced this new order. Now, she does post bail once her bond is set. She cannot be within 600 feet of her children. The judge ordered her to enroll in a domestic abuse program by December. Hilda Vasquez is set to appear in court again this Friday. We'll continue to bring you new updates as this tragic case continues to develop. Reporting in New Orleans, I'm Jasmine Franklin, WDSU News.
This comes as we're learning more details about the claims made against the mom by apparently that landed her behind bars.
Yeah, 12-year-old Bryan Vasquez apparently got out of their home last month, missing for hours, and was later found in the lagoon. The coroner says he was attacked by alligators and drowned.
WDSU reporter Shay O'Connor looks into the charges that Hilda Vasquez is facing and if they could stick in a courtroom. Shay?
Travers and Sella, I did speak with several different attorneys just about those charges and how much time potentially Hilda Vasquez could be facing. Negligent homicide and second-degree cruelty to a juvenile.
Honestly, I think the state's strongest case is that second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, because she has such an extensive record with DCFS.
To charge her, in my opinion, is just NOPD's smoke and mirror game.
Attorneys weighing in on the charges and fate of 34-year-old Hilda Vasquez. The mom had been charged and convicted before in 2013, related to the boy suffering major brain injuries due to abuse when he was only 3 months old. Attorney Tanya Fayez says negligent homicide might be harder to prove.
I don't think I've ever seen an indirect negligent homicide case, meaning not from an accident or a fight.
The NOPD listed several reasons why they had cause to arrest, including Vasquez's alleged failure to make appropriate steps in securing her home, knowing Bryan's history of getting out of the house. and the number of hours it reportedly took Vasquez to learn and notify them that her son was missing. Bryan had allegedly gotten out of the house at least twice in the weeks before his August 14th disappearance that resulted in death.
So we think that all of these come together to show that there is what we would call criminal negligence.
Special needs children do wander.
Attorney Paul Fleming says he also has a child that is special needs. He feels differently about the charges.
I think to charge this lady is an overreaction. They're not turning over records, public records to you. They're not, and they've arrested her for this. It's at least a 5-hour delay in them responding.
Now, I did reach out to NOPD about those 911 calls. They could better give a timeline on their response regarding the situation. Also, I should note that the GoFundMe account in Bryan Vasquez's name has now reached over $15,000. I did also reach out to GoFundMe officials on this, and if people have been asking for refunds given the recent arrest of Bryan's mom, of course, we're going to continue to keep you updated on this. Reporting live from NOPD headquarters, Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
Well, to catch up on the latest into this investigation and to learn any updates into the mother's court proceedings, just head to WDSU.com.
Hold on. Pause. Take a break from the news videos. This is Principated from the future. I'm in editing, and I had to take a break real quick because I tend to catch everything. I don't know if y'all caught it, but I catch everything. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you know what? Better yet, hold tight.
Negligence.
Special needs children do wander.
Attorney Paul Fleming says he also has a child that is special needs. He feels differently about the charges.
I think to charge this lady is an overreaction. They're not turning over records, public records to you. They're not, and they've arrested her for this.
That right there. Did he just say that? See, I have to address this. I can't move on with the rest of the video if I don't. Excuse me, sir. There's no way on God's green and blue earth you said that and meant it yourself. Prior to your stupid comment, I'm sorry, stop. That's disrespectful to things that's actually stupid. Prior to your overtly absurd comment, the news reporter had just stated mere seconds ago Hilda Vasquez was convicted of, meaning the burden of proof was reached, that she caused major brain injuries, plural, among other injuries, but primarily the brain injury at 3 months old, which means she's the reason the little boy wasn't all there mentally. He was born fully healthy. Then he got his wig split, brains scrambled like a Dare drug commercial, and yet Colonel Sanders makes the comparison that he has a special needs child and he thinks the charges is an over-exaggeration. How dare you? Audacity must really grow on trees. Give your boy a sub and hit the thumbs up. They both are free. I'm giving y'all gold right now. The audacity. Sir, your child was born special needs. I'm more than sure. And he or she had to have got it from your dumb ass. Bryan Vasquez was made special needs. Charges being exaggerated. She's lucky that's all she got. She built up a track record. She has an abuse or negligent history. It's literally her fault he's the way he is or was. I can't believe that guy's an attorney. And he believes her charges are an over exaggerate. Man, that's some diabolical work. Back to the news.
Bryan Vasquez escaped his New Orleans East home and was attacked by an alligator, his mother had already been investigated by the Department of Children and Family Services. According to arrest documents we obtained, there were several DCFS reports filed against Hilda Vasquez over a span of about 12 years. Documents say only a few of them were validated. At least once, DCFS had custody of Bryan. According to documents, it happened in November of 2013. Documents say the agency validated allegations of child physical abuse and lack of supervision. Bryan was returned to his mother after a process that included parental classes. DCFS told us they do not have the authority to make the final reunification decision, but wouldn't tell us who does. But according to their website, DCFS may request court intervention, in-home services, custody to a relative, or custody to DCFS. It was also revealed in court that Hilda's youngest child tested positive for cocaine at birth. According to the DCFS website, their approach to addressing substance-exposed newborns mainly focuses on two approaches: defining and addressing prenatal neglect and implementing a notification process of newborns exhibiting withdrawal. Their website says if a doctor has a reason to believe the newborn was exposed in utero to a drug, then the doctor must order a toxicology test for the newborn. If the results are positive, the doctor must make a neglect report. The next steps are unclear. Again, we know NOPD is looking into this history as part of the investigation. I reached out to NOPD to ask how the investigation and charges are impacted if an agency determined her children could be returned to her custody, but I have not yet heard back.
All right, Alyssa, thank you so much for that update.
Year-old Bryan Vasquez, his mother has been denied bond.
Hilda Vasquez is accused of negligent homicide in Bryan's death. WGN's Rick Gogrieve tells us what happened in criminal court. Rick.
Yes, Susie and Kurt, the judge sided with the prosecutors, arguing that Vasquez is a threat to her children, bringing up her past convictions and her substance abuse, even mentioning how she and her newborn baby both tested positive for cocaine. Now, Vasquez's lawyer tried to argue her threat to her kids is not the case, saying Vasquez recently signed a stay-away order. Now, the lawyer also said Orleans Parish Juvenile Court should determine her potential threat to public safety and not criminal court. She will now remain in jail to await the next steps of her criminal case.
The two sides are going to launch into discovery, and they'll file formal motions with the court to learn information about each other's case. Once they get that information, then there may be more motions and hearings that will delay the trial somewhat, and eventually she'll go to trial.
Now, Hilda Vasquez is currently being held in Plaquemines Parish, but the judge told her attorney that he will do what he can to get her moved to OJC. Susie and Kurt.
Rick Gogrieve at Tulane and Broad. Thank you, Rick.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the actual commentary. Let's break this down. What are the courts actually saying? What's in those records? According to the affidavit, this wasn't a one-off mistake. Police are calling it a pattern. They say this mother had a history of leaving her kids alone. She knew her son had snuck out before, and still, she left them unsupervised. Question. Your child is mute. He can't talk. If you know your kid has done that before, why leave them alone? ... Again. That's not just careless. That's reckless. That's setting up a tragedy. And here's the thing. This didn't start in 2024. It goes back years. In 2021, school staff reported bruises on the little boy's thigh and face. He also had an IEP. That's a individual education plan because of traumatic brain injury, marked as non-accidental. But even that wasn't the first sign. Back in 2013, when Bryan was just 3 months old, his mother called an ambulance saying he had stopped breathing. The doctors found a damaged lung, retinal hemorrhages, fractures in both legs, and a skull fracture with swelling. Do you understand how bad of a beating that is to leave that kind of damage on an infant? That is horrific. They called it suspicious of non-accidental trauma. Suspicious. Let me tell you, rolling off the bed, an infant rolling off the bed or rolling off the couch don't do all of that. So, no shit, Sherlock. It's suspicious. That's not rocket science. Police then charged her in 2014 with cruelty to juveniles, but she pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, and thus the cycle continued. A lesser charge? What lesser charge do you get that's beneath cruelty to juvenile? What lesser charge comes under that? How do you get a lesser charge for splitting a 3 months old wig? You literally maimed an infant. That is crazy work. So when you hear about these 2024 charges, well, 2025 charges, I apologize. Cruelty to juveniles, negligent homicide. Uh, it isn't coming out of nowhere. It's not just something that the DA pulled out their ass. Colonel Sanders called it an over exaggeration. This is part of a long, painful history of ignored warning signs and missed opportunities. August 14th, he went missing. August 15th, the missing child was made public. Police found his body on Tuesday, August 26th. 12 days. That's how long little Bryan Vasquez was missing. 12 days. That's almost 2 weeks of not knowing where your child is. 2 weeks of searching. 2 weeks of hoping. 2 weeks of praying. And it wasn't just the police out there searching. Wildlife officials, volunteers, neighbors, everybody trying to help. Then August 26th comes. The hope just abruptly ends. They find little Brian's body in the lagoon. Let that sink in. A child's body in water, surrounded by and being ate up by wildlife. Now picture you being one of those people searching, exhausted, thirsty, hungry, holding on to a little hope that you find this little boy alive. And then that's what you find. That kind of discovery doesn't just break a person, it breaks a family, it breaks a community. Imagine parents started hugging their kids tighter. Neighbors started asking, did we miss something? Where were the signs? Because the truth is, this tragedy doesn't just stay with one family, it ripples out. It changes how everybody looks at safety. And then to answer the question I just posed, yes, you missed something. You missed a lot. Because him walking around outside at night in his drawers was on y'all cameras. The neighborhood is at fault in this too. Now let's talk about accountability. Yeah, so what? The mother's in court. Yeah, she's facing charges. But if we stop there, we miss the bigger picture. Because people had chances to step in and they didn't. In 2013, doctors flagged Bryan's injuries as suspicious of abuse. In 2021, his school reported bruises. He had an IED plan, IEP plan, individualized education plan, tied to a traumatic brain injury, which was documented as non-accidental. So how do we go from all that history, years of it, to Bryan still living in danger until it ends in tragedy, until it ends the way it did? Accountability can't stop at one parent. Where were the systems meant to protect little Bryan? Where were the safety nets? If doctors saw it, because we know they did, they reported it. If the school saw it, because we know they did, they had an IEP tied specifically to a brain injury that was documented as non-accidental. Why wasn't there more done? That's what makes people angry. That's why I'm angry. That's why you should be angry. Because parents don't raise kids in a bubble. There are teachers, doctors, relatives, social workers, multitudes of people see our children every day. All of them saw their own little piece of this story. Some spoke up clearly, some stayed quiet, obviously. But at the end of the day, it was the system that I always talk about that failed Bryan Vasquez. So yes, hold the mama accountable. Hold Hilda Vasquez accountable in every stretch of the imagination. But justice has to go further. How did this child get failed not once, not twice, but over and over again? If we don't face that truth, this story just repeats. Different kid, different city, same heartbreak. And I proved it repeats. Back when I used to do my podcast, go to my videos on my channel. I have two videos. Closing remarks from Black Hypocrisy, episode 38, and my closing remarks from Black Hypocrisy, episode 39. Multiple children. Different children, different cities, same heartbreak. The cycle just repeats. Here's the truth. Bryan's death was preventable. A kid should never lose their life because the adults around them didn't know how to simply be adults, didn't know how to be a parent. And look, I know people don't like to get involved. They don't want to call it out. Truth be told, I get it. But what's worse? Speaking up and being wrong, or staying silent and the child ends up dead, gone forever. Sit on that. Sometimes it takes one person, one call, one report, one conversation, and the whole story changes. Parents, I get it. Life is stressful. Work, bills, relationships, birthdays, Christmas. Trust me, I'm married, I know. But your kids, they don't get a pause button. They need you here and present. They need you here and watching. Because the very second you stop paying attention, danger creeps in. Look at the child predators on Roblox and all that junk going on. Risky behavior knew nothing about that. A lot of people I spoke to after me and Risky did that live stream, they knew nothing about that. They started watching their kids on them games now. The lesson is simple but heavy. Kids don't get do-overs. They only get the protection we give them here and now. If we fail them in the moment, they pay the price. And that's something we as parents can't accept. At the end of it all, this isn't just another random headline. This is a 12-year-old boy who should still be alive. This boy should be talking. Brian should be out playing, skating, riding a bike, playing Call of Duty, playing Pokemon. Brian's story proves something. When kids aren't protected, it's never just one failure. It forms a chain. At home, in the community, in the system. Here's the takeaway. Don't just shake your head and move on. Don't just say, "Oh, that's sad," and keep scrolling. Ouch. Take this as a wake-up call. Watch out for the kids around you. Speak up when something feels wrong. Even if you just see a child that looks hungry or something, you see a child that's extra dirty, whatever the case may be, don't assume somebody else will handle it. Because sometimes nobody does. For Bryan Vasquez, it's too late. But for the next kid, it don't have to be. We all have a part to play. Parents, neighbors, teachers, or just people who care. Say his name. Bryan Vasquez. If y'all ever follow me, y'all know what I'm about to say. Y'all can say Breonna Taylor name. No, she did not deserve what happened to her. But she was an adult who made her life decisions in dealing with the people she chose to deal with, and they brought it to her doorstep. If you know the story, you know. Y'all can say George Floyd name. He was an adult who made his life decisions, robbing and pulling knives on pregnant women. You know what y'all love to say? Karma. Bryan Vasquez was 3 months old, getting his brains bashed in, getting his legs broken, getting his lungs caved in, up until his utter demise at 12. But you won't see his name on the NBA jersey. You won't see Bryan Vasquez's name on an NFL helmet. You won't. Justice in a courtroom is one thing, but justice for Bryan means change, real change. Change how we look out for kids, change in how seriously we take warning signs, change in how we hold people accountable before it's too late. Because every child, I'll say that again, every child deserves safety. Every child deserves to be heard. And every child deserves the chance to grow up and not just become the next headline. That's my take, and that's why this story matters to me. That's why all these stories that I've done with these children matters to me. If you agree, don't just sit on it. Share it. Talk about it. Remind people. This little boy didn't deserve this. This mama, I hope she rots in prison. There's a special place in hell just for her. Don't forget this little boy. Like all the previous Black Lives Matter hashtags. Talk about him for a few weeks, then it's on to the next. Say his name. These children need to be remembered. And his mama needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Remember, awareness is the first step, but action is what really makes the difference. I'm the Prince of Petty. Holla at your boy. I'm out. I need a blunt after this. Her charges was over exaggerated. Man, sit your duck ass down somewhere. Get on my face on the internet. Somebody needs to go egg his damn car or something.
Bankai.